Hey guys, my name is Trevor Smith. Welcome to another episode of Full Burn. Today I'm with Brian Monnin of Sophia Space. Brian, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, great to be here.
Where are we?
We are in Salt Lake City and driving in a Lambo Huracán.
Yes, and more specifically, a special Lamborghini Huracán. This is the Performante Spider.
Oh.
We got the top up because of, recording issues, but we may drop the top in a little bit.
Nice.
But yeah, it's V10, 620 horsepower all-wheel drive. And I've been told that if you rent cars in Utah, they have a governor at 100 miles an hour, like a GPS tracker. And so if we go over 100, the car gets shut off. So
it's kind of like a 3-2 beer thing.
Yeah. We can't go over 100, unfortunately. Not that we would ever break the speed limit on this podcast.
No.
Never. I've never done that before. But it's a little bit of a rough ride, which I love because that means you're in a real race car. So, Brian, who is Brian? Tell me about yourself.
Well, I'm Brian Monnin. I'm the co-founder and chief growth officer of Sophia Space. And Sophia Space is an orbital data center company that has just come out from under radar a few months ago.
Orbital data center. We have those on Earth. Can you elaborate on what that is?
We do have a ton of data centers on Earth, and more every month. Data centers are really, fueling our insatiable quench for AI, especially. They're huge, buildings, filled with computer servers, and they suck up a ton of local energy. In some cases, 25, 50% of the local power grid is being drawn onto these data centers. And 40 to 50% of water. You need a lot of water to cool data centers are being used. And while we love all this great new technology, there's got to be a better way, for us to power the compute needs of the future. Cute power.
Yeah, I barely touched it. We'll get on in a minute. Yeah. So what are some of the reasons, pros and cons? Maybe walk us through pros and cons for a space-based data center, because I'm sure there are pros and cons.
There are. Well, the biggest, pro is that we have an unlimited amount of energy in low Earth orbit, which is our sun.
Yeah. Nuclear reactor. It's the biggest one we have.
Exactly. So we can have limitless, free over time energy from the sun. And we also have a great cooling source, about 4 degrees Kelvin in space, if you can figure out how to do that with, not active cooling, but passive cooling, which is what we're doing. So the pros are there. The performance is there with new satellite communication technology, things like Starlink, things like Project Kuiper. We can meet and really match and exceed our transmission that we're used to down here on Earth for our high bandwidth needs. And we can do all of that in space without using up so much land, without interrupting communities. Data centers aren't going anywhere, and we can augment them in low Earth orbit.
So sort of help lessen the drain on the demand of energy terrestrially if we can offset some of those customer bases that it makes sense to actually put in orbit. Because not everything needs to be in orbit, but some things really want to be in orbit. It's
how we scale responsibly. It's how we scale economically. And so we think that there's, great opportunity to help meet the demands of terrestrial data needs, so how we're using it on Earth today. But we're also psyched about how we can solve compute problems in low Earth orbit. Today, we have Earth observation satellites that have been around for 30, 40, 50 years that we depend on for our weather reports, for national security, for navigation and maritime. And it so happens that they're really great when they were invented, but they're inefficient because they're constrained by bandwidth. Yeah. It's fat bits down a skinny pipe. And we have the opportunity to process more data up there.
You said fat bits?
Fat.
Yeah, okay, all right. Sorry, I thought I heard something else. Also applicable, but totally fine. Bits, as in like zeros, ones. Got it. So what are some of the concerns maybe that you hear from like the general public? Like, why should we not put data centers in space, and maybe like address some of those concerns?
Yeah, I think, you know, a lot of the concerns, first of all, it feels science fiction. Like, how are you going to put a whole factory? When you think about the compute revolution that's happened with companies like NVIDIA and others, it doesn't have to be in such a huge package. We can create small modular pieces that really meet supercomputer range of performance.
I'll point out our landscape here is quite beautiful.
It's amazing.
The mountains are right here in Salt Lake. But yeah, so the performance you were talking about for data centers.
We can put it in a smaller package. But the public perception might be a data center seems awfully big to put in space.
Right.
But we don't have to have it be so large. In fact, you know, our product is called Sophia tiles, and they're 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 centimeter. That makes up almost a supercomputer if you put 4 of them together.
Oh, wow.
And so you can begin to assemble them depending on your need as you see fit. So it's not science fiction. It's something we can do. And it's also not science fiction because the cost of getting up into orbit has come down dramatically. Where it used to cost $50,000, $100,000 to get per kilogram to get something up in orbit, it's gotten down to less than 10,000, getting down to low thousands in the years to come.
Maybe give an example for our listeners of like an ideal customer that would want a data center in space versus a terrestrial data center.
Yeah, I was talking about that you know, those fat bits down a skinny pipe, and the reason why, you know, if you're circling the planet, constantly taking photographs, constantly picking up, you know, new data, you only have a limited window of opportunity to beam that data down. So most of it ends up not making its way to Earth. Most of the high resolution images are discarded. And so you're dealing with partial data sets. And while it's exceptional because you have a bird's eye view that you didn't have before, you're having to do a bunch of other things over time to fill the gap where you don't have all that data. So today, if you're talking about Earth observation for things like wildfire, it's wildfire season here in the West. There are these great satellites are circling the planet all the time, but it's terabytes and petabytes of data that they're discarding that could have valuable information. And it takes hours to process that over time, and we need to compress that in under 10 minutes. Under 10 minutes is the new benchmark to make a wildfire detection, you know, something, you know, that's valuable to people on the ground. 10 minutes is now the benchmark for Golden Dome to be able to detect a hypersonic missile. So you have emergency responders, defense, you know, our national defense that can benefit from doing AI inference computing in low Earth orbit.
What I'm hearing is there's a ton of data up there, but we don't have enough pipe to get it down to Earth. And so if we had the ability to compute at the edge, as they say, we would take those good bits that need to come down and basically only look at the good parts that you're interested in, doing all the compute in space and then sending down what you really care about.
That's exactly right. We'll use AI to select in less time, to compress and make sure that you get the highest resolution media for something like a synthetic weather forecast, you know, for example, anywhere on the planet. And really it's delivering expediency. That is, get it to an end user in as few steps as possible.
So I appreciate you giving the background on Sophia and orbital data centers. How in the world did you get into a position that you're in today? Tell me a little bit about your background.
Thanks. Well, it's typical background for a history major.
History major.
I got involved in media and technology early in my career. How to bring video, photography, interactivity to websites, all going all the way back to the mid-90s. And started my career early at Microsoft, trying to bring broadcast television to, again, very narrow bandwidth scenarios. So really starting at 56.6, 1 megabyte or less than 3 megabytes, was really the holy grail, back in the mid 90s, kind of dating myself. But it was important to the end users to be able to watch their favorite show or watch the Super Bowl anywhere they wanted to. And that worked. We can't imagine a world where we're not consuming media at high bandwidth anywhere we want to. So I had a great opportunity to work at Microsoft for 4 years. And just had some amazing mentors and learned a lot about how to deliver at scale. and caught the itch to create my first startup called MetaStories, which took all the hard knocks of that experience working with broadcasters around the world to deliver media. And then I decided to create a startup to make it easy for anyone to do that. And so MetaStories was my first startup. It was bootstrapped with some very generous friends and family. By generous, just that they put up with me. It wasn't a lot of dollars that we raised. We were built on revenue.
Sweat equity.
Sweat equity made Thanksgiving and Christmas pretty awkward. But we were able to see our way through and had a wonderful opportunity to exit with a company called Bright Cove, led by Jeremy Allaire, another wonderful mentor in my life who really just, taught me how to scale. And from there, never looked back. The next inflection of technology was mobile. And that's where I met my Sophia Space co-founder and CEO, Rob DeMilo. And, there again, we were trying to, compress media again and deliver it to anyone in their pockets or in their hand, anywhere on the planet. And I've really, just have that craving, to find ways to become more efficient with each new wave of technology.
So talk to me about the sort of inception point of you joining Sophia. Like, what was the day? Was there like a lead up and you've been tracking Sophia, or did you just get a phone call and somebody convinced you over a beer in 30 minutes you should join the company? Or like, talk to me about how you got involved and what that looked like.
Yeah, it was really probably over about 5 minutes.
Wow.
So Rob DeMilo, the co-founder,
high level of conviction, apparently.
Well, we had worked together before, and it makes such a big difference to like and admire and compliment your co-founder.
Yeah.
Rob's a technical co-founder, 9-time CTO, really just a genius at data centers and architecting digital transformations into the cloud. And when he gave a call, right away I was leaning towards yes, because I was looking for a bad reason to work with Rob again. Because it's
a bad reason.
Yeah, it's just so hard to find people you truly admire and like and to partner with, because startups are so effing hard that there has to be something that you believe in. Now, Rob had done the diligence, like any good lead investor. He had priced the round, as it were. He had gone through a really long courting and interview experience with Mandela Space Ventures, led by Dr. Leon Alcali. And, Leon had handpicked Rob to be CEO. Now, I had certainly some imposter syndrome because of the aerospace and space connection of Sophia. I was a media and technology guy. I had done SaaS software startups, 4 of them previously, but I had never done anything like this. But as they began to explain the problem set, again, it was immediately familiar. You have constrained bandwidth. You have a customer who wants more in less time. And so that, basically, I got over my fear of space when it became obvious that I know this problem. And so Rob and I, as operators, got started at the beginning of the year.
Okay. So 5 minutes, that was the conviction.
It really is 5 minutes. You just...
Like, if you already know the person, they're convicted, you have that comfort level.
But 5 minutes after spending decades of solving a time compression problem, of taking large amounts of data, putting it into a smaller package, and delivering it to an end customer. So really decades of solving that problem and seeing that, wow, these characteristics, that are going on in low Earth orbit are a lot like the internet in the mid-90s in terms of the need for infrastructure and the opportunity for even more processing and more customers.
So what was and there are multiple, examples of this throughout a startup's history and maturity, but like, what was the first time you were like, oh man, we're on to something, like this is gonna work?
Like this, it's gonna work like this. That acceleration is impressive.
Feels good.
Yeah, it does feel good. How did I feel like when I was about to get on a rocket ship? Well, really, as Dr. Alcali started making his introductions, he's an ex-JPL fellow, retired JPL fellow. He spent 30 years at JPL and really a professional hero of mine. He led successful missions to the moon, to Mars. And as he began introducing me to his network, they shared a similar set of problems, which is if we had higher resolution media, if we had a broader set of pipes to be able to send this down more expediently, we could win wars or prevent wars. We could avoid and certainly fight the next out of control wildfire in ways that we couldn't. And so, really as he began sharing his anecdotes, his unrivaled network within the space industry, it was just obvious because I picked up the phone. They're like, when can we begin?
Yeah.
It wasn't like, hey, let's take 5 meetings and maybe I'll call you back, or getting ghosted. It was like, when can we start working? And so we're working with satellite operators. We're working with space station companies. And we're beginning to talk to terrestrial companies who are saying, how can I augment my services if I have help, from low Earth orbit at any point in time?
So this question, not necessarily specific to Sophia Space, but could be. So the question is, have you ever done something crazy to save a program or convince an investor to write you a check? Like hop in a Lamborghini and talk to them for a while. But have you done anything crazy to save a program or something like that to win a contract? And I think we're gonna get stuck behind a train.
So we're not going to be able to hit the accelerator now.
No.
Have I done anything crazy? I mean, you have to be crazy to found a startup. You have a lot of downward pressure from investors to do unnatural things. Love our investors, our VCs, but they're expecting you to go into founder mode. Not only to work, 80, hours, a week, but really do the extraordinary because it's just so hard. So it's all crazy. It's not anything that's comparable to you've done before. I've gone on Shark Tank with one of my startups. The episode never aired. It was for a company playing Possible. But that was, something that I certainly probably have a little PTSD over because it's an intense experience. But it was a consumer electronic product, and I wanted to get it in front of as many people as I could in as short amount of time, as I could. I think, my first startup, the other advice I'd give to any, would-be entrepreneur is have a great understanding with your partner of how crazy and how many sacrifices are ahead. I have an incredibly understanding wife and partner, and if it wasn't nailed down in our first house, we sold it because my first startup was really built on revenue, and we weren't going out the VC route, and so anything that was leverageable was, and thank goodness we sold it. But I would not recommend that to most people.
Yeah. Wow. Shark Tank. Did they end up doing a deal with you, or?
You're supposed to say, "Wow, Janine, what an amazing woman and wife."
Oh no! So I will. That was my second point. So good shot there. I call that delusional optimism. And my real co-founder is my wife because she paid the bills for the first 3 years while we were standing up the company.
Right.
So
oh my God, really?
Totally good. Yeah.
Covered payroll, right?
Covered. We didn't have payroll. She covered the house. But
right. Yeah. Amazing.
So totally good. Yeah, I was just curious if they gave you the deal on Shark Tank.
Well, I signed my life away, the contracts, that are there. All I can say is they shoot more footage than they air. It was an incredible, experience. And, for any other, would-be entrepreneur, practice. You have to just always be ready to give that elevator pitch.
So, what's some quick advice you would give to year zero founders? Actually, on this topic, maybe that's part of the advice, but you can summarize 2 bullet points, maybe takeaways of something to do, something not to do, something like that.
Well, have 6 months in the tank.
Have 6 months of runway.
Of your own runway. Yeah. Have 6 to 9 months of runway in the tank, and don't leave your day job. There are very few laws, particularly now, that says it's illegal to have a side hustle.
Right.
So if you've got a day job, do not leave it until you have line of sight to those first dollars coming in.
Right.
Hopefully revenue and not investment. I think we're too caught up in raising money all the time, and investors love to invest alongside revenue.
Yeah.
So make sure you've got money, in the tank. back to, having a great, partner, at home, make sure you have the conversations at the dinner table, at the breakfast nook of how hard it is and how many sacrifices, are going to come. Make sure both of those things are set. And then if that's cool, fall in love with problems through research. Go talk to customers. I was an entrepreneur in residence at a great venture startup studio called Pioneer Square Labs in Seattle. And they really just hammered home the validation engine before you move a line of code, before you pick up, $1.
Isn't it Ben Gilbert?
Ben, yeah, of course,
I love the Acquired podcast.
Oh my God, best ever. And he's a space investor too, but just a fantastic human and individual. And there's more of them at PSL. But the thing that I took away from that is just get out there. Don't just talk to 10 customers, talk to 100. Really understand what problem needs to be solved and that there's a willingness to pay for it.
Yeah.
And don't fall in love with your product too soon. Fall in love with the problem that you're solving. And
that's really good.
And so often you have entrepreneurs who fall in love with their invention. It's amazing. It's work. And most of your friends and family, they're not lying to you, but they're just going to say, that's cool. I love it.
Yeah.
And that's different than would you pay for it?
Well, it's a great idea versus, I would pay for that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's the third thing. So, really make sure that you have that, voice of customer signal that someone has a willingness to pay.
We just entered Corsa mode. So there's an on-ramp we're about to get on. We will not break the speed limit, but we will get up to the speed limit.
Corsa mode.
We will get up to the speed limit very quickly.
All right.
Assuming there's no traffic.
All right.
So I have this section of the podcast I call Tinfoil Hat Corner. Or really just space conspiracy. Fun little questions. So what is something about space that will make your parents' life easier? Maybe it's already out there today or a new technology that's being developed that could help your parents' life.
That's a great question. Fortunately, my parents are alive. They're in their 80s. And autonomy, both in space, for space domain awareness is important, but autonomy down here, these cars that we're seeing drive around with pilots, if you will, drivers,
FSD,
who have a lot on their minds and can make a lot of decisions. But having full autonomy for my parents as they're less likely to be driving, hopefully, Dad, put the keys away. Something we talk about a lot. So that they can get from A to B and live a full life, I think would be incredible. I took my first Waymo last weekend in San Francisco.
I did too.
And it's
a month ago.
It's amazing. It's
so cool.
And much better drivers, than others.
Hold on. Here we go. Don't do it. Don't do it. Stayed under the triple digits. How was that?
That was awesome.
That was fun.
Yeah.
Oh God, I love Lamborghinis. Lots of thrust, as we say in the space business.
Amazing.
Yeah. All right. So, what is a technology from science fiction you would love to pull forward today?
Well, given that takeoff we just had, I would say hyperdrive from Star Wars, or the Epstein drive from The Expanse. Is something I think is the ultimate compression of time.
Oh yeah. Most people answer that question with some sort of travel capability.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Whether it's black holes or beam me up, Scotty.
Yeah. The hologram communicator in Star Wars also, I think, be cool.
Oh yeah. Is there anything that's being developed for space that scares you for humanity?
I think it develops me. Well, in all seriousness, we have a space compute race going on with China, right now, and we've heard of things like nuclear deterrence, in our lifetimes, but compute deterrence and compute superiority is a very serious topic. We're not just talking about one or two processors in a satellite, but really putting supercomputers. China launched to their credit, a supercomputer cluster earlier in the year, and we've got to catch up. And it's not to fight and win wars so much as to prevent wars. If you have that kind of supercomputer capability, you can have eyes and ears on everything and prevent things from happening that an ill doer, might do. If we have advanced compute, we can move pharmaceutical research in ways that we haven't been able to do in the past. Combine that with AI inference compute, you can get solutions faster and take advantage of it. So am I worried about it? I'm more hopeful, than worried, but it is something we do need to do it up there. And there's also the opportunity to look beyond, to do deep science and research, out of our little solar system.
Yeah. All right, this is a fun one sometimes. So do you know anyone, or have you been visited by an encounter of an extraterrestrial, or do you currently have a probe in you?
No probe, but
no probe. Okay.
No. I mean, last weekend I went to Dead & Co. In San Francisco, Golden Gate Park, and I think there could have been 60,000 or so aliens that were getting down and grooving and moving to the music that never stopped. So I certainly think that given the scale of the known universe, that there has to be opportunities to encounter, I would hope, extraterrestrial life. I think the closest evidence we have on this planet is our octopi and octopus.
They are very alien-like.
If you could not only look at them, but understand the way that they cohabitate and the things that they do, there's a lot of great literature on that. Is the greatest evidence that how are we connected, on this planet to them? To me, is the only evidence that I can see.
Great answer. I love octopi, because they are very alien.
Their brains and the tentacles.
I mean, they're so smart too. But my next question, after I get around this 18-wheel, what facet of human psychology would you remove for human spaceflight travel if you did not have cryogenics? Like if you couldn't go into a freezer for long deep space travel,
yeah,
what facet of human psychology would you remove?
I mean, probably the desire to reproduce. I mean, we're for that distance. I mean, we seek calories and defend our territory, so that we can find a mate and reproduce.
Yeah,
as the basis of our being. And so, if you could turn that off for long distance space travel, I think you have fewer variables, for things to go awry, because we do crazy things looking for and to keep our mates.
I mean, when you're bored, we're gonna drink, we're gonna reproduce. Sometimes they, coincide.
I've just ruined the Aliens, series and the Expanse and more science fiction stories than you can imagine, but I think it would make for a boring movie, but probably a safer long-distance flight without cryo sleep.
I just read a paper someone had submitted. It was a competition about how do we get to Alpha Centauri and what kind of vehicle would we need. It was a very long vehicle, like miles long, and it was something like 10 generations.
Right.
Would need to go go through 10 generations to get humans to Alpha Centauri. So
right.
In that instance, you would actually want to encourage some reproduction, because you need multi-generations to get to Alpha Centauri. But
yeah. I am not on the con ops on that one.
All right. We are almost back. Are you a car guy? Do you consider yourself a car guy?
Oh,
There's no wrong answer.
No, I love cars. Growing up in Ohio in the 80s, my dad got Corvette fever, and we'd drive around these crazy barns. He'd have these vets, and he got an 80 vet, cherry red, of course, and then an 84 vet, which was the first time that they had the kind of more aerodynamic, exterior. And so I love that. And sorry, Dad, but I did sneak it out one time because I was 16. And man, when I hit that pedal, just like before.
This is a full burn podcast exclusive.
I know. Not a scratch.
I'm gonna send this podcast to him as soon as we publish.
Not a scratch. And
no harm, no foul.
And so I had a Tesla for a minute, which I don't have anymore, and so that experience, that acceleration was incredible, and really did make me feel more science fiction like than I'd ever felt. Just the interface and the attention to detail, and man, the way they would shoot your head back.
Well, that's great, because my next question was, how fast have you been in a land vehicle?
About 27,000 kilometers per second.
In a land vehicle?
That's the speed of the space station going around the planet.
Oh, yeah.
No, I was in a foreign country. I did have the opportunity to drive Ferrari, and the kilometers per hour were up there. So I definitely was in the 3 digits, and it was a beautiful thing.
You don't remember the MPH conversion?
I was told there'd be no math on this interview.
Oh, yeah, that's true. No math, sorry. But enjoyably fast.
And I'm saying that also so my boys don't hear the actual top end. Of
you were talking about
that.
You were excited for your boys to see this, so don't speed, boys. Blank check. What vehicle would you go get?
Blank check right now. I don't know. That's a good question. This was pretty nice. I don't know what the sticker price is on this one.
Yeah, it's
what's the sticker price on this?
You get a good one for $350K.
I'll take it. Let's drive it back around to the dealer.
Yeah, we'll just take it back. It'll be great. Speaking of your boys, they did just hear you tell your dad that you took the car out. So, boys, you got one on them. If you decide to take the car out, don't dent it, don't scratch it, but you got at least one give me permission.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Well, cool. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much, Brian. We're going to pull in a small sat and keep doing our conference thing.
Thank you so much. This is awesome.
Oh, I'm glad you had fun. We'll see you next time. We'll burn. Thank you.